Hello friends, welcome back to the Lightford house. Today I am making a gumbo in my Instant Precision Dutch oven, or if you have a crock pot, you can use that. But you will want to make your roux over the stove if you are using a crock pot, because you'll add everything in. You'll add the veggies in and then you'll dump it all into the crock pot. But I'm using this instead, and I will be slow cooking it once I make my roux. I like using this because I can go ahead and make my roux right in here, add my veggies, add everything else, and we're good to go. So what we're gonna need is some celery. I use 2 ribs of celery, and I have some of the leaves on there too. 1 green bell pepper, and then a white or yellow onion. Some other ingredients you will need. You can do fire roasted tomatoes, but this is a can of tomatoes that has onion, celery, and bell pepper, so I'm gonna use that. I'm using canned okra. You can do frozen if you want to. You're gonna need 4 cups of chicken broth, some garlic. You can use fresh. I'm using the easy stuff today because it's afternoon and I want to get this done. Some paprika, bay leaves, a Creole seasoning of your choice. I'm going with the Tony Chachere's. We're gonna need a 1/2 cup of flour and 1/2 cup of veggie oil to make our roux. So I've already cut up my veggies here. I'm gonna place these in a bowl until I'm ready for them because I need to cut up my meat. Now I'm doing some smoked sausage, boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and then I'm gonna add shrimp at the end. You can do either or. You can do just chicken, you can do just the sausage. You can add shrimp at the end if you'd like. Just use whatever meat you choose. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in a bowl so that I'll have room on my cutting board for the meat, and we're gonna get started. By the way, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. It helps out my channel. And if you like this video at the end, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Okay, I have trimmed these chicken thighs up a little bit and cut up my sausage into little round pieces. I cut my chicken thighs into some chunks here. I'm gonna set this to the side and we're gonna go ahead and get started on our roux. All right, we're gonna come down to the control panel if you're using the Instant Precision Dutch oven and hit the sear and saute button and start. It's gonna start heating up. We want this thing to get nice and hot because when we add our oil and flour in there, we want it to be ready to make a nice roux. Once this is heated up, I'm gonna add in a 1/2 cup of oil. I'm using vegetable oil, and 1/2 cup of flour. We're gonna whisk that around constantly, and we basically want this to turn the color kind of like, but somewhere between peanut butter and copper. You want it to be kind of dark. And that is going to be our roux. Now, don't rush this process because the roux is a very important part of the gumbo, if not the most important part of the gumbo. Now, once our roux is ready, we're gonna add in our vegetables and cook those down for a few minutes along with the meat. Okay, now if you are following along on your stove, if you're doing this in a crock pot, you will just go on and take a Dutch oven on your stove. I'm adding a 1/2 cup of veggie oil in there. And to that, I'm adding my 1/2 cup of flour, and you'll just do this on the stove top. And it's beeping, saying that it's like basically preheated, ready to saute. So as you can see, it's bubbling. Go ahead. You want to stir it. You'll see the color change pretty quickly. You just want to get all the lumps out with a whisk, and once you're done kind of whisking it around, you can go to a spoon. I've got a wooden spoon over here, but don't worry, once it starts getting kind of thick and sticking to the pan, it's totally fine. You just want to have a nice, good, hot pot, whether you're doing it on the stove or if you have one of these Dutch ovens. You just want it to be nice and preheated. And you could even start preheating it while you're dicing up your veggies, cutting up your meat, getting your ingredients prepped. So Just trust the process, keep stirring. You'll see it go from this color to a darker color shortly. You just keep stirring. And now that I'm pretty sure like all the lumps are kind of gone, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a wooden spoon. That's just what I prefer to do. I'll bring it back once it's looking a little bit darker than this so you can see what we're doing next. Alright, now as you can see, it's starting to kind of thicken up here and the color is starting to change. It does take some constant stirring because you don't want it to burn. But as you can see, it's starting to darken up. And I hope the camera's picking it up because this is exactly what we're looking for. We want it to get a little bit darker than this. And you'll notice the flour starting to clump up there. Just keep going, trust the process. It's getting darker and darker. But I'm still not done yet. And it doesn't take very long, honestly, to get it to where you want it. Now, I want mine darker than this, so I'm going to keep on stirring. But this is just an easy, quick, kind of everyday weeknight gumbo that you can do in your crock pot. I'm going to let it go for just a little bit longer because I want mine a little bit darker. And once done, we'll get these veggies down in there. Now you see this color? This is what you want for gumbo. A nice dark color. I'm going to go ahead, turn my sear and saute function off by hitting the cancel button. Add my veggies in. I'm going to let these cook in here for a little bit. Anywhere from about 3 to 5 minutes. Sorry about the sound of the wooden spoon against the bottom of the pot, but we're going to let this cook down a little bit, about 3 to 5 minutes. Just keep stirring. This is going to turn into a nice, easy gumbo. Right after about 3 to 5 minutes of sauteing your veggies with that roux, if you're making this on the stove and you're following along with a crock pot, a slow cooker, you're just going to go ahead, take your veggies and roux here, go dump all of this into your crock pot after it has sauteed for about 3 to 5 minutes. Next, we're going to add our meat. So I'm adding my chicken and sausage. Now, if you're doing shrimp, you're not going to add that until the end. Got my chicken thighs going in here, along with my smoked sausage. And I do recommend chicken thighs for this if you're going to use chicken. It's just because chicken thighs are, you've got a little more fat on them. Hard to overcook them. And you do want to use the boneless, skinless. And if you have ones with skin on, you can just go ahead and remove the skin. Trim off any of the unwanted fat off of there. Now we got our meat down in here. Now we're going to add 4 cups of chicken stock or chicken broth. If you want to use the bouillon and water, that's fine. I already have this container here that I had from the store. One of these containers is 4 cups. I'm going to go ahead and add all that in here. And look at that color, the liquid. Now we're going to add in our okra and our canned tomatoes. I'm not draining the tomatoes, but I will drain my okra. And these are sliced stewed tomatoes. I just noticed that. These ones are not diced. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's fine. Normally I would add diced. I just didn't read the can before I grabbed it. I am going to drain the canned okra that I'm using. And we'll add that in here. I always use canned okra. Some people use frozen. Again, whichever you want to add is totally fine. And now we're going to season it up. We're going to add paprika. All I have is some smoked paprika, but that's fine. Measure with your heart. Add some Tony Chachere's or any Creole seasoning that you like. I'm going to go, I don't know, a couple tablespoons of this. We're also going to add in some salt and pepper. Salt and pepper to taste. Now, the broth that I used was not low sodium, so I'm going to go very, very light on my salt. Just a little bit of salt, some black pepper. Garlic, again, I'm using the minced garlic from the jar, and I'm just going to measure with my heart on this too. I don't want to do too much, maybe like maybe about 1 tablespoon or so. Mix that all in, get that seasoning incorporated, and these tomatoes, as they cook, they'll soften up. They'll be easy to like chop or break up, so they won't be these big old slices here, but that's fine. Now see that color? That's what you want, that nice color. The roux is very important. Your arm might get tired while you're mixing, but it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, so we've got everything in here looking good. This is a view of what it's looking like over the top, and we are going to add our shrimp at the end. Totally optional. Now I'm going to put a lid on this, and then we're going to get the pot started. And I almost forgot a critical part, the bay leaves. I'm going to add in 2 bay leaves to this. Get those down in there. They add some nice flavor. Don't forget to take those out at the end. All right, we've got the lid on. Coming down here to the panel. It does have a slow cook function on here, but we want this to cook on like a low for the slow cooker, and I don't know what temperature that honestly cooks on low. I need to check the manual, but I'm going to hit the manual button here instead. And I'm going to go on manual mode 1. So you'll see mode 1. If you hit it again, it'll go to mode 2. Which is a higher temperature, but we want to go to mode 1, and I'm going to set the temperature by hitting this time and temp button. Okay, so the low setting on most crock pots is like between 170 and 180. I'm just going to turn this dial until I get where I want to go here, and I'm going to go to 180. Then we're going to hit time. And we're going to go to 3 hours. This is going to cook on low for 3 hours if you have a crock pot. You'll cook it on low for 3 hours. If you're adding shrimp, you'll take your lid off and hit start. And it's going to start my preheating process and then cook for those 3 hours. It'll count down till it's done cooking. Now, if you're adding shrimp, you're going to remove the lid after your 3 hours is up, add your shrimp in, and let it go for another 20 to 30 minutes till your shrimp are cooked all the way through. I will be using these large raw shrimp that I got from Sam's Club. They're just Members Mark brand, and they're already peeled, cleaned, and deveined, and the tail is off. So that's what I'm using. I've got a little pot of water over here coming to a boil. I'm going to do some instant rice so I can serve the gumbo over top of it. So I'm just following the box instructions on this. I did turn my pot up to 190 degrees after about the first hour of cooking. So it's only got 58 minutes left, and I'll show you what it's looking like. That's what it looks like so far. It's looking good. The chicken's looking like it's cooking nicely in there. So we'll let it keep going. And I'm gonna take my frozen shrimp out and just give them a little rinse in a strainer so that they can kind of start to thaw. They won't be completely frozen when I put them in. I'm gonna go ahead and add my shrimp to the pot. I'm gonna give it a little stir before I add the shrimp in. Let's check our pieces of chicken and see. They're looking done. Looks good. We're gonna go ahead and add our shrimp in here. And after it's done, you'll want to taste it for seasoning and see if you want to add some more like Creole seasoning in here. Okay, got our shrimp in here. It is still frozen, and so it's gonna cool down the dish quite a bit. I'm just gonna stir these in to try to submerge them in the liquid. And then we're gonna put that lid on and let this go for about 30 more minutes, and then it should be ready to serve over our rice. So I'll see you back here in 30 minutes. Okay, this is 8 minutes left, cooking on 190. My shrimp are still not cooked because they were frozen, so I'm gonna turn this up. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the cancel button, and I'm gonna do manual mode. I'm gonna turn the temp up. I'm actually gonna go, let me go manual mode 2. It's at 280. I don't need it that high. We'll go like 240. And for time, we'll do, let's give it 20 minutes. Okay, so with 7 minutes left, I just kind of kept an eye on it because we don't want to overcook shrimp, then it becomes all rubbery. So what you're looking for is for your shrimp to turn from a gray color into this pink color here. And that's how you know that your shrimp is done and ready to go. So this is ready to serve up. I'm gonna go ahead and let my daughter get her bowl fixed up, and then I will show you what it looks like, and we'll do a taste test. All right, I've got my rice in my bowl. Now don't forget to fish out your bay leaves out of here if you added them. Just gonna get a little bit of everything in my bowl, and then I'm gonna give it a taste test. And excuse the bulldog over there making all that racket. All right, this is what it looks like. Got everything in here, and that rice just soaks up all of that liquid that we had in there. And now I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna go ahead and get some sausage, okra, do a taste test. It's really good. Normally I like to taste it for seasoning before I serve it. It's got just enough of the Tony Chachere's I can taste it. If you want to add more seasoning, then add more. I'm going to go ahead and take a bite of the shrimp as well. It's perfectly cooked. It's not rubbery or anything like that. It's really good. I love gumbo. Big gumbo fan. Anyway, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button before you leave. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.